Creatures trashing New Orleans are all over the airwaves.
New Orleans.
You think Animo's new base is there?
No. He'd want something more secluded. But it's probably...
Also, I love how we had the time to take that fun picture of Grandpa Max racing Accelerate on the fucking airboat. As if fucking Gwen has not been kidnapped. It's like a little more effort, a little more pressure on this one, guys. Welcome back to On the Shelf Gaming. Oh,
Hi,
God.
guys.
No, not a diamond head bear. That's cool as shit.
Okay, so now you've got to remake your Omnitrix, but you can only have one alien. Why is it the Diamond Head Bear?
It's so fucking cool. What? I don't get it, but like, it's fucking cool.
What imagine how useful that'd be? All the powers of Diamond Head and a bear?
That's so many. That's so many powers.
Well, the polar bear starts chasing you, but then you transform.
Hey, who's chasing who now, big man?
Damn. These guys are not quite as strong as I thought they would be based on their stats.
I mean, they're pretty tough.
Yeah, I mean, they're not like complete pushovers like a bunch of the enemies, but like, I wasn't expecting them to literally be a boss, because this is the very beginning of a level. But I was expecting the solution to not be, okay, then we like put 50 of them because they're immune to fire.
Are they immune to fire?
Apparently, because they're
No, okay.
I was because his attacks weren't doing anything.
No, they just don't take a ton of damage. Whee! Oh shit. Whee! Fuck.
Man, well,
Whee! There we go.
hell yeah! So I've got a fire-related story / question for you.
Okay.
But it's probably going to be a long conversation.
I'm ready.
It's pretty intense for Ben 10, so just wanted to make sure that you're cool with that.
Sure, brother. You know I got no fucking. You know I got nothing I can't talk about.
Hell yeah! So this is a question that involves me telling you the story,
Okay.
and then you giving me your opinions on. You're not a religious guy.
Nope.
So, like, not necessarily the religious application, I guess, but like the moral application and how you view like other people who have the same view as this person in this story. So, are you familiar with Jonathan Cain?
Yes, sir.
For those who aren't, he plays keyboards for Journey. And
Yes, we've talked about Jonathan Cain. That's how I know.
well, the specific relevant part here is as a child, he went to some Catholic school, and there was a fire at this Catholic school. I think everybody's just getting a nuke power now.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of it.
And in this fire, there were numerous other children that died, and I forget how old he was at the time. I read the story in his autobiography, but I'd already heard it before in the past. When I'd heard it before in the past, they made it seem like, like almost the entire school died, which was not actually true, which doesn't make it not tragic, obviously. But it wasn't nearly as bad as what I had been led to believe,
Right.
based on what it sounded like. I forget how many deaths there were. It was a significant number, but we're talking like dozens, not hundreds, if I recall correctly.
Right. Still bad. Still a tragedy.
Oh, for sure.
But not like, we need a holiday kind of fucking tragedy.
Not like I'm like the only person, my one class or everyone in the school who got out. It was like one or two classes that didn't get out. But which isn't necessarily the relevant point here.
Right.
But
Yeah, that's the semantics.
Right. But the thing about this story is Jonathan Cain, as a child, was a pretty religious kid.
Uh-huh.
And now, as an adult, he's a very religious guy. Granted, his current wife, during the first Trump administration, she was like Trump's spiritual advisor. And she has her own, like, I don't know if it's a proper mega church, but that's what it sounds like from what I gather. And on top of that, they teach prosperity gospel. So decide for yourself if that means that they're truly religious or not. But one of the things about his story, as he tells it, is this fire took place, and of course, obviously, he didn't die. If he did,
right.
No Jonathan Cain, keyboardist of Journey conversation ever happens.
Right. Because
He's just a dead child from 50 years ago or whatever. Probably longer now. But the thing about the story from his point of view is, in his view, the reason that he didn't die in this fire is because he had this greater mission from God to not only, like, go become a world famous rock star with Journey, but also to then, like, use that platform to spread the gospel.
Good word.
Right. Which, from a purely religious standpoint, I feel like is a pretty admirable takeaway, I guess you could say, kind of. But the thing about having that view, in my mind, is you have to say, okay, I am very special. All those dead kids,
no plan
not
for them.
special. God had zero plans.
Take them or leave them.
He brought them into this world to take them out so that I would know how important I was.
Right.
Thoughts?
Not a fan of that mentality. No. I don't like, and this is gonna sound very crass, I don't like using God as either an excuse or justification for literally anything. I think if you find meaning purely for yourself in God, that is your God-given right. I think if you defined the merit of other people, you know, like, as an example, if a bunch of people died in this fire,
but you didn't,
and so therefore you're special, I don't like that implication, you know?
No, I definitely would tend to agree with you. And even, because it is one of those things that I'm sure is really hard to come to terms with, and I feel rather certain it was incredibly traumatic. Probably even more than what he could have ever realized as a child, that this is something that just happened in his life. So, and it's obviously doubly so if you're religious, like, you're going to go looking for an answer, and it makes sense that if you're, like, a very religious person, that the answer you're going to find is, oh, it's God's plan.
Yeah, God had a plan for me.
Right, and
oh, whoops.
Things being God's plan is fine, but the one thing you don't do is tell other people about how your great, successful rock star lifestyle so that you can now teach the gospel now that you're an old man.
Shit.
That was God's plan. And because these other kids... Not that he worded it in such a way, obviously, because that would just be monstrous, but it's like, how do you look at that and not also see and none of these other children could have ever been me, Jonathan Cain, keyboardist of Journey.
Right.
Because
God
in
didn't
their
have a
wildest
plan for
dreams.
them.
Right. Because God's plan for them was a stepping stone in my journey. I mean, not literally.
Shit.
Also, journey. Well, that fucking worked. You were over there.
Okay,
it did work.
It thought better of itself. No, God. Here's a story from when I was working. It was actually here when I was working at Walgreens. This was still around COVID, and it was like the government had just done away with the mask mandate, so like you didn't have to wear masks, but stores could still ask you to wear masks. And this old man comes in, and like the mandate's going away in like the beginning of the next week or something.
Right.
And he comes in, and he's wearing a mask, but it's on his fucking chin. And he just loudly announces to the store, 4 more days, everyone! 4 more days, no more masks! No more masks in 4 more days! And I'm just like, oh, Jesus.
It's like, okay, hey,
Christ.
it's not no more mask. It's no more required mask by the government. And the store can still make you wear one. I know, because I went to stores that still made you wear one afterwards.
Well, okay, so anyway, so he comes up to the counter, and I'm just fucking dreading this guy coming up, because I don't
Oh, no kidding.
He comes up to the counter, and, like, he's paying his shit. And, of course, the first thing out of his mouth's like, so what are you doing? And I'm like, about what? He's, like, desperately trying to get him to be like, oh, I don't know, whatever. But, of course, no. He did not flinch. He said, mask mandate, 4 more days, goes away, no more masks. What are your store doing? And I said, Walgreens will not require you to wear a mask, but they do ask that you still do. Nope! Nope, can't make me wear a mask!
Like, no one even said we were going to try to, actually.
If
you listen to what I said they would prefer you to do it.
It's against my rights. And I'm like, it's really not even a conversation. Like, effectively, we don't care. People can do whatever they want to do.
Well, and it's not like people weren't doing that anyway.
Yeah.
For one thing, in tons of places, including locally to us, they had basically just said outright before the mandates even went into effect, yeah, we're not going to enforce those.
Yeah.
Even if stores call us and they're like, hey, we're enforcing ours, we're not going to do anything.
Right.
Completely negating a store's ability to do anything, because at that point the only thing you as the store can do is let them go pick stuff up off the shelves and then bring it to you and say, well, you're not wearing a mask and we told you when you came in that we weren't going to help you.
Right.
Which all that does is cause them to be there even longer.
Right.
As you know, they're going to yell and scream and demand.
God, it was fucking ridiculous. Anyway, the end of that story, getting back to God, and I forget how the conversation get there, but of course now he's taking the 2 minutes I'm bringing up all of his shit to grill me about my beliefs and blah 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 and everything, because of course he thinks it's all a fucking hoax, and you know all the people dying was God's plan. And I brought that up, and I'm like, well, I mean, a lot of people are getting sick, and a lot of people are unfortunately dying. And he looked me in the eye and he said, when the good Lord calls you home, there's nothing you can do about it. As his reason to not give a shit about anybody or anything ever.
Right.
Because he thinks the good Lord calling me home has any basis on me and my behavior.
Right.
It's that same sort of fucking mentality. And that's just like, well, God had a plan for me, and that's why I survived. Sucks for those other guys, though.
Damn. Well, actually, no, it's great for them. I wish I had been called back. Too bad I wasn't, because I'm too important.
God, it's just fucking...
It's very up your own ass times a million.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you're calling on God for being like, nope, too important to be dead right now.
She's really happy about this.
One thing I think is not ha-ha funny, obviously, because these people are absolutely fucking insane. But it's like, you know, there are all those people who are like, oh, you get the vaccines, man.
Right.
2 years, you'll be dead. Well, I don't know about you, but I had the vaccine, and
I'm doing just fine.
It's been more than 2 years, and I haven't died yet. I don't think I've even really gotten that close to dying, actually. And I saw people talking about that online the other day. And, of course, there's always a rationalization. And do you know what the rationalization is?
What's that, bro?
The vast majority of people got placebo. Only a few people got the actual vaccine, and all those people are dead now.
But I thought the point was to fucking take over our brains. So why would they not give us all the take over our brain chip injection?
Why would they give us the take over our brains thing if it only works for a couple of years? And then it kills us. That's not very productive.
I know. Nothing. And hey, you know what, man? My heart goes out to all those poor white women who got the shivers real bad. Did you see those sad ladies?
Yeah.
Oh, I need Ben. Nope, I need Ben. Go away.
That wasn't Ben.
That was Accelerate.
No, that was some of the dumbest shit I've ever seen in my life. Not to say that... Because the thing is, some people sometimes can have, like, adverse reactions to literally anything. Like, it does happen sometimes.
Uh-oh.
But it is weirdly coincidental that all those people who are having these problems just happen to be conservatives who were really upset that they had to get vaccinated or they'd lose their jobs.
Right.
And it's really crazy too, because at the bank, I'm a notary, and one of the things that I sometimes have to notarize are people's vaccine exemptions, where they're like, yeah, because of my dumbassery, I can't have vaccines. And it's like, well, I wish I could not notarize this for you on the grounds that you're too stupid to get a notary. But that's not a recognized issue, at least not in this particular context. So
Right.
I can't. But, like, some of the people doing that shit are people who are, like, supposed to be healthcare professionals, like nurses. And, of course, there's going to be people who say, see?
The nurse doesn't fall for it.
And it's like, okay, yeah, but the issue is not that they're a nurse and they're so knowledgeable about medicine. The issue is that they're a nurse and they're also a complete fucking idiot.
Right, doesn't know how vaccines work.
They see some bad things happen to some people sometimes. They attribute it to something specific because they want it to be that way. Because here's the thing, right? Everybody thinks that they're an expert on stuff. Doubly so if it's related to the thing that you do.
Right.
But it would be easy for me as someone who works at a bank and sees people's bank accounts all the time to say, I understand, like, the normal American...
Right, you could be a financial
habits.
advisor.
The thing is, I don't understand the normal American spending habits. I understand a very specific type of person from a particular area. And, like, how often do you come into the bank and me see your spending habits? Never.
Yeah.
So, Sacred's not represented in this example. People who come into the bank all the fucking time, they're highly abnormally represented in this sample. Like, just because you have anecdotal experience with something doesn't mean you actually know basically anything about it, which is not a hit on people who think they know more than the average person. Like, I definitely know more about than the average person about the things that are related to my job. But that doesn't make me, like, an expert. It doesn't mean that just because something appears one way to me based on what I see all the time, that if you could do, like, a proper, scientific review of that would just automatically be the justified conclusion that it would come up with. Because I think it seems that is how things are.
Right. Bam, bam. Nah, for sure. It's... I don't know. I try very hard to not come across as an armchair expert in fucking anything. Because you know me, bro. I'm dumb as hell. I'm very far from an expert on just about anything.
True. But I don't know. And obviously, people are always going to go to their anecdotal experiences way before, like, proper scientific review of something.
Right.
But it's like on Twitter how men and women will argue, and you'll see, and obviously this is not all men and it's not all women by any stretch of the imagination. It's just people who are very caught up in their own perception of how reality is. Because you'll talk about, like, men that are rapists, and men will be like, that's like basically nobody. That's like a 1 in a million men. Which is obviously not accurate, because that would mean that there's like 300 rapists in America.
Right.
Well, not even, because we're only talking about men specific. So there'd be 150 male rapists in America. Meanwhile, there's probably more than that in the county that we live in.
Right.
So obviously it's a little more than 1 in a million. I don't know what the exact numbers are, but I'm sure it's more than that. But then from the other side, you'll see women who... And I'm sure they're basing it, like, at least somewhat on, like, their personal experiences with men. But obviously you're going to give more credence to, like, horrible experiences than you are good experiences. Like, yeah, the percentage of guys that would do this kind of shit, we're talking, like, 40%.
Yeah.
Which, and I could be wrong, but I have a funny feeling it's probably not even that close to that number. Because that's an ungodly huge number.
Right, that's insane.
Right. And it's like, because it's the same kind of thing when people are like, oh, you know, all men, like, will catcall women if the opportunity presents itself. It's like, no. But the guys who will do it will catcall a fuck ton of women.
Right.
And that's not to say there's not a lot of guys out there who will do it, because there are. Sheer volume, there's tons of guys. Proportionally to the total number of guys, that number... It's not like we're talking 90% of men who would do this. But if one guy sees and catcalls 80 women...
That's
in
a large
week,
number.
That's a lot. And they're going to be like, man, guys are constantly catcalling.
It's like one piece of shit can get a lot of work done when we're talking about metrics.
Right.
I bet they actually love each other even though they're cousins.
Freak.
No.
Can't say the same for you.
God, I forget. I think it was Tara Strong. Yeah, I think it was Tara Strong. She voices Young Ben, right?
I don't know for sure.
I'm pretty sure it's Tara
Something like
Strong.
that.
Pretty sure it's Tara Strong. And at some point, Tara Strong, I think on her Facebook, shared, like, some Ben and Gwen ship art.
Jesus.
Probably assuming that it was nice and wholesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
Do you think we can get a law passed?
It's bad enough that people are like, yeah, this is my ship. The two cousins. Like, that's already not the ideal.
Right.
But then there also have to be like, yeah, and which version of them is it?
I swear, those things are peskier.
It's ridiculous, bro.
Yeah. Before we wrap this episode up, because we're probably about done here.
Hell yeah.
Before we wrap this episode up, I want to talk about something, and you saw it with me. It was something, that's for sure.
Right.
The other day, Finn was at their friend's house, who they a little while back they moved in with their boyfriend, and their boyfriend has a shrine to Hinata from Naruto that is not just it would already be weird, but it's like I have a lot of Shadow the Hedgehog stuff. Granted, I do not have it consolidated into a shrine, and also the Shadow the Hedgehog thing is mostly a bit, even though he's super cool. I don't actually worship Shadow the Hedgehog. Cut that out, Future Sacred. But like, if I consolidated that all into a shrine and put it right next to my bed, that'd be a lot weirder than it is currently. And then if 2 shelves of that shrine were dedicated specifically to Shadow the Hedgehog porn, even more so. And if you, for instance, were my partner and I was like, hey, move in with me, and you were like, okay, and you got there. And I was like, yeah, here's our joint bed that we sleep in, and here is the Shadow the Hedgehog shrine that includes pornographic material of Shadow the Hedgehog.
Just fully spreading that Shadusi to the world.
Would you not reconsider at least a little bit?
Yeah, just a pinch.
Yeah, I don't think I could do it. Granted, that's not even, like, the biggest issue with that guy, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, say from the information I heard, I don't much care for this man. Fuck off, everybody. Anyway, next time on Let's Up Gaming!
Hooray!